Hey guys, welcome back to MOVIEidol. So we have some more news regarding The Walking Dead. Of course, Entertainment Weekly has been revealing stuff every single day for the last few days, and they actually mentioned in this article that they will be revealing stuff every single day up until Comic-Con. So today we got our first look at Michonne and our real first look at Season 10 overall, which I think says a lot. But tomorrow, expect our first look at Daryl and then Carol. I think tomorrow we might get Daryl or Carol. And then the day after, we'll get one of the other ones. They might focus on those three leads, but who knows? They might reveal a ton more. Like, we might see our first look at Judith or RJ. I guess RJ isn't that big of a character right now anyways, but you know what I mean. Like, they're posting stuff every single day this week leading up until Comic-Con, which is really only 2 days. That's just Wednesday and Thursday, but still, this stuff is super exciting. I mean, this photo actually blew me away. Some of these photos, whenever they reveal like a first look at a season, they don't really blow me away that much because it's just our character out in the woods or something like that. Maybe they're wearing a different outfit or it's something very different, but this photo looks very different. I mean, yeah, it's a character in the woods, fine, but the fire and the smoke, like that just completely took me by surprise because, yeah, when you think about it, The Walking Dead hasn't really explored the idea of using fire a lot. We've had things happen in the past, like the bombing of Alexandria a few seasons ago, but they haven't really explored the idea of how fire can really play a role in the season. And Angela Kang, in an interview describing this photo and I guess describing Michonne's character and the season, actually touches on that, saying that fire will play a key role in Season 10. So I want to talk about that because I think that hints at a few storylines. So before we jump in, I do have to warn you for spoilers, of course, for Season 9 of The Walking Dead, which I guess a lot of you guys have probably already watched because it was over months ago already, and spoilers for the Whisperer War in the comics. Also, make sure to subscribe if you're new here because there's going to be stuff dropping every single day, so if you want videos on Walking Dead content like this, also on Creepshow, because I'm going to be doing a video later today or tomorrow on some of the new info that we're learning right now, and then I think they also have a panel on Friday that I definitely want to cover. Greg Nicotero, who does the walkers on The Walking Dead, is responsible for Creepshow, and if you watched Creepshow back in the day, I mean, I never watched it back in the day, I wasn't born, but growing up, I absolutely loved Creepshow, and it will be something I'm going to review. I'm hoping it's going to be really good because The Twilight Zone, I really tried to review it. I reviewed a few episodes, and then just at a certain point, the writing just got really bad and it got very hard to watch. That's why I kind of stopped reviewing it. I'm thinking of doing an overall season review and just talk about, you know, just my thoughts on the season in general, but I might wait on that. I don't know. Twilight Zone was very disappointing for me personally, but Creepshow I've always preferred over Twilight Zone. I know people might think that's insane, but I just did. Anyways, I'll talk about that in a separate video. Let's talk about The Walking Dead in this one. So Entertainment Weekly revealed the first look at Season 10 and holy shit, is this just amazing. It's our first photo of Michonne for Season 10 and our first photo overall of Season 10. So first of all, like I said, the fire definitely stands out. When I first saw this, just the lighting on Michonne's jacket, the lighting on the ground, the fire in the back, the smoke, this definitely tells me that there's a war going on. But what I like about it is that it's a different type of war than All Out War, which I think is very smart for Angela Kang to do because All Out War was all guns a-blazing and all that, and that is fine for that war. That was the, that was the time then. As much as I could criticize All Out War and that arc on the show, and trust me, I really could, that made sense. The automatic weapons made sense then. Now it doesn't really make sense. I mean, I guess it could still make sense, but with what they want to do, I mean, yeah, I definitely prefer more handheld weapons and fighting like that with clubs and swords and like arrows or whatever, using fire and all of that to fight. Because even though they could probably create bullets and all of that for weapons and stuff, it's just not smart to manage all of that. It's not that efficient, really. Maybe in the future they can get back to that, but right now, it's not that necessary, right? Like Michonne with her katana, I mean, train everyone to do that, like you'll be really equipped for this world. I also think that Michonne's stance is just really amazing, and I do think this photo overall, like I said, hints at a war season, a very action-packed season. And I really can't wait to see this season because this is going to be Angela Kang's like battle war season, much like Gimple's battle war season was Season 8, right? So I really want to see how she handles that. Could she handle it better? Can you really compare them both? Because are they still both going to be very different? You know, I really can't wait to see that. That walker on the far right, and I guess there is one, you can kind of see his leg on the far left. I don't even know if those are walkers. That's what's so amazing about the Whisperers right now is that you don't know if they're walkers or Whisperers. And I think that's probably a Whisperer just because when you're looking at that walker on the bottom right, it looks too aware. It looks like it's actually holding itself on the ground or up from the ground. And if you look at its eyes, it almost looks like it's staring in a certain direction, like it is very very much aware, so I'm thinking that it probably is a whisperer, but like I said, it is very hard to tell. Now, the cool thing that I like about this is that they're making Michonne, or at least I'm thinking anyways, I'm thinking that the reason for Michonne being the first character we see for season 10 is because it's going to be her last season, which hints that she could be more of a lead. Now, I don't think she's necessarily going to be like the front and center lead of this season, because you wouldn't want to do that and then just take her away and then focus on another character. Obviously, you want to kind of have a balance, show a lot more of Michonne because this is her final season. We want to get a really last good season with her, but you also want to have the other characters have a lot more of the spotlight, right? Because, yeah, like I said, you don't want a character like Michonne to leave, then you just feel like you're empty, right? Now, I want to get into an interview that Angela Kang did with EW describing this photo, talking about the themes to the season, and it's a little different from my last video because she talks about the use of fire and some unexpected storylines, so I want to get into that. She said, "One of the things that we have going on this season is we're continuing some explorations of natural elements and how they play into our world. And fire is one of those elements that comes into play in a few key ways that twist the story in a way that will be pretty exciting. Fire is terrifying now, but we sort of take for granted that we have people that can deal with it. It obviously has very different implications for our people in an apocalyptic world. I don't want to give too much away about this particular story because hopefully there's some unexpected aspects to it, but we will definitely see our people trying to contend with things that they can't handle in the same ways that we do in our world now. So there's a lot to talk about in that. The first thing she says, how will fire play a key role? And I mean, one, I think a big thing happening in season 10 is going to be the destruction of Hilltop. They will rebuild. They definitely will rebuild the Hilltop, but this happens in the Whisperer War. The Hilltop is completely destroyed. It is burnt down. They end up winning the battle overall. They actually defeat the Whisperers. Beta is actually leading the battle or leading the charge for the Whisperers on the Hilltop, and he's forced to flee. But even though they win, the Hilltop is burnt down. And I mean, it is very, very bad. They lose a lot of resources, crops, everything. Their house, like, expect the Barrington house to have a ton of damage to it. And I could already imagine there's going to be a really sad scenario or a sad situation where you're going to see it burning down and everyone's just like, you know, they won, but it's just so tragic. We're going to see Glenn's grave there. Maybe something got knocked down there, and it's just going to be super sad overall. But I think this is where I want to segue into something different, and I will come back to the whole Whisper War and Michonne photo and everything right away, but I do think this is where you could introduce Maggie. I think this is the perfect way to introduce her, because when Hilltop is burnt down, they're going to need someone to help rebuild the Hilltop. And what does Maggie do right now? She helps rebuild communities, right? As literally what her and Georgie, and I guess those twins and whoever other people they have, like that is literally what they do. So Maggie could come back to the Hilltop and use her resources with Georgie to actually help rebuild it, right? That makes so much sense. I think that's where you introduce Maggie. I really do. I see that being the introduction or reintroduction to Maggie in The Walking Dead. And I think that's why they're trying to work with her right now, because this won't happen until, what, episode 12? I'm guessing of this season, episode 12, episode 13 or something. This won't happen until later in the season. It'll be in the second half for sure. It could be anywhere from episode 10 to episode 14, in that range. And so, since they're not filming that yet, since that filming doesn't take place for another month or so, maybe a month and a half, they have time to get her on board. And she doesn't have to be there for when that moment happens. That's the thing. The Hilltop can be completely burnt down and they don't know what they're doing with it. Maggie could come back in the finale. And they filmed the finale in November, so they have quite a bit to actually work this out. So if Maggie wants to come back and help rebuild, she can do that at the very end of the season. I think that's exactly what you do because, yeah, she literally has Georgie. If the Hilltop is burnt down, it would make sense. Someone would probably send out a letter or whatever they're doing to contact Maggie. The twins or whatever, one of them, maybe they pop up and then they give a letter to them. And it's like, yeah, the Hilltop is completely burnt down. All of these people have died and everything. And Maggie's like, holy shit, okay, I need to go back. And thus we have her back on the show. And that honestly works out a lot better for the character. I'm actually kind of happy that she left, like for when she did in season 9, because we were able to focus on other characters. Having her reintroduction actually really mattered to the story, and being able to use that comic book backstory really well with that. I hope this happens. Like this is the most logical route to take. Now, like I said, the Whisperer War will feature lots of fire, so it's going to be a lot of them burning things down, obviously. And along with what Angela Kang said yesterday with EW, more handheld physical weapons, since they really can't rely on automatic weapons anymore. And that is really cool to think about, to think that The Walking Dead's going to be like that. It's going to be like clubs and maces, swords, and bow and arrows and crossbows with like fire and all that and torches lighting shit on fire. Like it's very much become that nature. It's not like it was in All Out War with like automatic weapons and shooting, and it really is more where I want The Walking Dead to go, so I'm really excited for this season. Now, I don't know where Michonne is in this photo. I think that's one thing we should talk about. She could be at a Whisperer camp, or she could just be at one of her outposts, and I think that is one thing that our characters are going to have to deal with, and I do think that's why the war is just going to start no matter what. It's because even if our group listens to the rules and they don't cross that border, does that mean that the Whisperers are going to listen? Because if they're already in that mindset to be a Whisperer, to be able to wear human skin, they're messed up people. They might not listen to the rules. And, you know, you might get one or two stray Whisperers that end up in their territory just causing a bunch of shit. And you can see the same thing with our people too. You might get that. But I would say that I think the Whisperers would probably do it a lot more. And I don't know if there's a clear-cut way in how to handle that. I think if Michonne or someone were to kill them or something, that Alpha might get pissed off about that. Like, there's not really a lot of rules. And I really wonder if we're going to see a lot of that, like those two characters setting up rules. So having Alpha meet Michonne at the border and setting up rules, you know? We didn't get that in the comics, so it would be kind of cool. Like, they're just actually trying to create more official rules to all of this. Some characters might be really pissed off about it. Daryl might be like, you know, but I do think this could hint at a very intriguing plot for season 10. Now, the last part of what Angela King said, she said, I don't want to give too much away about this particular story because hopefully there's some unexpected aspects to it, but we will definitely see our people trying to contend with things that they can't handle in the same ways that we do in our world now. I'm really wondering what she meant by that. It really could be just regarding the fire thing because I did combine two parts of the interview, or it could mean that Michonne might find out that Rick's alive, and that is the very unexpected twist, and there's going to be people, or I guess our people, trying to, you know, really grasp and try to handle that information when they just can't, because it's just like, what? That flips your whole world upside down, because they've been living with the idea or the fact that Rick was dead for like 6 years now, right? For them to find out that he's alive, that's big, which could introduce why Michonne's going to leave, right? Because this is going to be her final season. She's supposed to be going to these Rick Grimes movies, and that is a perfect way to do it. But post your thoughts down below. Let me know what you guys thought about this photo. What are your predictions for the Whisperer War and for Michonne? Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.